Hi everyone, and thank you to be here today. We're gonna wait a few minutes for some people who could just be 1 minute late, and we offer you to write on the chat where you come from, if you're okay with that. It will be great to learn about where you come from. Okay, we gonna start. I'm glad to see we are people from Nova Scotia, Winnipeg, Kingston, Vancouver, Saskatoon, and also Virginia in USA. Welcome everyone to this second edition to the Érudit Town Hall. I'm Gwendal, Director of Communication and Engagement at Érudit, and I will animate this meeting today. So I'm glad to see you all come from all the Canada and outside also. At Érudit, we acknowledge that we are located on unceded indigenous territory. The Kanyan-Kehaga Nation, commonly known as Mohawk, is recognized as the custodian of the island of Montreal, or Chochiaki, which is the gathering place for many First Nations. An organization dedicated to the digital publication and dissemination of research in the humanity and social science. Érudit recognizes that indigenous knowledge and its transmission are inseparable from the land in which they are rooted. These way of knowing have been marginalized by colonial systems and practice, and we express our gratitude to indigenous people and community for fighting to keep them alive. Érudit Town Hall is an event during which we would like to present a review of the past year, but we'd be also glad to present you the project for the next year, and it's a great opportunity to interact with you. So please don't be shy and put your camera on. We thank you for the question you sent us during the registration. It helped us to build this presentation in free time. As you could see, Élise present the review of the past year. Jessica gonna talk about open access and the new formula, and Yves gonna talk about intelligent artificial and Érudit. Here are a few technical instructions for you during this meeting. If you want to maximize your display, we recommend you to choose the gallery view in Zoom. Also, during the discussion period, after all the presentation, if you have a question, you could raise your hand and turn on your microphone, but also if you want your video. You could also put a question in the chat. We could see during the question period to answer it. If we didn't have the chance to cover your question during today's event, don't worry, we're gonna follow up with you by email or by organizing another meeting. Please note that this meeting is recorded and which will later be shared publicly. So have a nice meeting, and I'm giving the floor to Élise right now.
Thank you, Gwendal. I'm truly delighted to be part of this second Érudit Town Hall and especially proud to share with you what we've accomplished over the past year. Today, it's a chance to look back without trying to cover absolutely everything at some highlights from our 24-25 annual report, which is available in the About section on érudit.org. But first, I know some of you may be discovering Érudit for the first time. So let me start with a quick Érudit 101. Érudit, you probably know that Érudit is a pan-Canadian digital research infrastructure dedicated to the dissemination of knowledge. We were originally created to support Quebec scholarly journals as they transition from print to digital publishing. Our platform, érudit.org, is the most visible part of what we do. It's where readers and researchers come to search, read, and explore content. But Érudit is much more than a platform. Behind the scene, there is an incredible amount of work happening every day, carried out by a dedicated team. That team is made up of 46 talented people with diverse expertise, and you'll meet some of them today. I'm not sure if the slide are following. Yeah, okay, thank you. So over the past years, our teams has grown significantly. One of the highlights of this past year was our move to the Centre de l'Innovation de l'UDM, where we now work alongside colleagues with the Réseau Circe, the PBUC, Ivado, and others. We also undertook important organizational restructuring. Our goal was to make the way we work both more efficient and more fluid. We created the management committee, bringing together the directors of our 6 teams, and those teams are digital publishing services, strategy and partnerships, research, development and innovation, technological infrastructure, communication and engagement, and finance and administration. I invite you to visit our new team page on the website. You'll see the smiling faces that truly reflect who we are. So together, all these people work to ensure that articles are discoverable to readers and researchers around the world. Now, maybe a few key figures. In 2024, our corpus reached over 259 articles, published by nearly 400 scholarly and cultural journals, and 99% of this content is available in open access. These journals are supported by more than 700 partners, institutions, and libraries with whom we have agreements. Library support is absolutely essential for journals. It takes many forms, but it is also very tangible. Through library subscriptions and participation in our 3 partnerships for open access, Érudit redistribute nearly $2 million to journals. And I'd like to highlight the remarkable contribution of Canadian university libraries, which alone provide $1.2 million in support through CRKN. This collective model of support is central to what we do. When it comes to usage now, 75% of consultations on Érudit comes from outside Canada. In 2024, the platform recorded 42.3 million page views. For several years, we've provided libraries with usage statistic compliant with the Counter Standard. Counter Standard is an international standard that ensures reliability and comparability of digital research usage data. More recently, we've begun providing the same counter statistic to journals, but for now, we have done it so manually, but particularly to support funding application to FRQ and SHRC. But we are working toward making these statistics continuously available through journal dashboard. Partnerships are at the heart of Érudit's work. One key example is Coalition Publica, our joint initiative with the Public Knowledge Project based at Simon Fraser University. And I'd like to take the opportunity of this town hall to warmly welcome PKP's new Managing Director, Teresa Lee. We're excited to continue the work we began nearly a decade ago. Coalition Publica advanced research dissemination and Canadian digital scholarly publishing. It brings together the decentralized flexibility of Open Journal System, OJS, with the centralized visibility of Érudit.org, creating an open, non-commercial national infrastructure. We develop tools and resources to support Diamond Open Access best practices. And in 2024, we co-organized the Canadian Symposium of Scholarly Journals with the Federation of the Humanities and Social Sciences. Coalition Publica also runs a scholarship program, and this year's edition focuses on student editors in collaboration with the Student Journal Forum. You can find all of this and more on the newly launched Coalition Publica website, and you can see on this slide the new visual that we are very proud of. Another major collaboration is with the Réseau Circe, Quebec's research and resource sharing network for scholarly journals. Érudit now serves as the platform hub within this network, which was created in June 2024. So it was created to support French language journals in their transition to open access. The network brings together four hubs: journals, libraries, which is led by the PBUC, platform, and research. They are all working collaboratively on partnership, share resources, and the promotion of journals. One example of this collaboration is the roadmap developed by the platform and library hubs. This tool helps journals meet FRQ requirements for Diamond Open Access. And just after, Coalition Publica adapted this roadmap for SSHRC applicants. The Réseau Circe website also provides valuable resources and webinar recording. In today's geopolitical context, access to scholarly publishing faces growing challenges. In response, Érudit continued to reaffirm its commitment to open science. In Canada, together with PKP as Coalition Publica, we signed and shared a statement on Diamond Open Access. It highlights that the vast majority of Canadian open access journals follow the Diamond model and calls on the research ecosystem to support this transformative vision. Internationally, Érudit signed the Barcelona Declaration on Open Research Information. This declaration promotes open practices in research documentation, monitoring, and evaluation. As a dissemination platform, we generate and share extensive research information. By signing this declaration, we reaffirm our commitment to resisting the commercial capture of research dissemination and evaluation. Looking ahead now, we have just completed several months of work on our next strategic plan, which will be unveiled in the coming weeks. We consulted our team, our governance bodies, our partners, and many of you through a survey. Four major priorities will guide Érudit in the coming years. First, continuing to advance Diamond Open Access, both through our Partnership for Open Access and through collective action across the ecosystem. Second, strengthening the visibility of Quebec and Canadian scholarship by enhancing discoverability. Third, deepening our dialogue with the community to ensure our services truly meet evolving needs. And finally, advancing innovation responsibly, guided by ethical, equitable, and secure principles, always in the collective interest. So that ends my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer your question if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Élise, for this presentation of the view of the last year and the preview of what coming. I think Diamond is quite central about our project. So if you have question, you could raise your hand in here or just put the question in the chat. So I will wait few seconds. I think it was quite clear, Élise,
Yes,
you
I
said.
think so.
So if there is no question about it, we're gonna pass the floor now for Jessica. Gonna talk about the POA and the new formula.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you today to tell you about an important change that's coming up to how we calculate royalties for journals. I'm going to start out by giving you a bit of background for this change before I present our new formula for partnership support. And I'll end by highlighting the key points that I'd like you to take away today. So let's get started with the background. For more than 10 years ago now, we have been developing the Partnership for Open Access, or POA. From the outset, the POA's goal was to enable open access publishing in Canada without article processing charges or APCs, what we now call Diamond Open Access. The POA began in Canada in collaboration with the Canadian Research Knowledge Network, or CRKN, which is the consortium that represents Canadian university libraries. 4 years later, consortia in France and Belgium also added their support, and there are now more than 95 libraries contributing to the POA. On a practical level, the POA is a series of agreements with these consortia and their member libraries that want to support all of the scholarly journals on Érudit, including those that are in open access. This is in contrast to the legacy of traditional subscriptions, which only support journals that are behind our moving wall. A key reason for the change that I am announcing today is the remarkable growth in the number of open access scholarly journals on Érudit, both in absolute numbers and in terms of their proportion of our collection. They now make up almost 75% of the scholarly journals actively disseminated on Érudit. And we are super proud that the POA has played some role in flipping more than 40 journals since its start. This is kind of an extraordinary flip rate considering the size of our collection relative to other platforms and publishers that have far more resources than we do. Another factor that has definitely contributed to our decision to adopt the new formula for partnership support are the planned changes to scholarly journal funding programs here in Canada. The Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council and the Fonds de Recherche du Québec now require that journals funded by their respective programs be Diamond Open Access as of 2028. So we are expecting a huge wave of journals to flip in the coming years. These journals, as well as those already in open access on Érudit, will need ongoing support to ensure their sustainability. With this in mind, I'm going to present some basic info about the new formula for partnership support. The development of this new formula began several years ago under the direction of Érudit's Scientific Committee, which includes representatives from the journal community. Their goal was to find a way to distribute POA funds fairly without relying on subscription fees. At the time, the committee established a few principles to guide their work. The formula would be simple, robust, and reproducible, beneficial to the majority of journals, predictable with a base amount and transparent indicators, and implemented gradually with a transition plan. These principles have already been presented and discussed with our community at various times over the past few years. But now we are ready to move forward with the implementation of the new formula, which is planned for 2027. Here are our objectives for the new formula. We want to ensure the sustainability of open access journals. The new formula is one strategy among many that Érudit has been implementing for years now, including services, documentation, and personalized support to enhance the sustainability of open access journals. This sustainability will also be influenced by public policy and institutional support, but Érudit is acting where it can. We also want to ensure the internal consistency of the Partnership for Open Access, which was created to enable open access publishing. The new formula aligns the distribution of POA funds with this mission. This change will increase libraries' confidence in the POA so that they will continue to support our Diamond Open Access journals in the long term. Finally, the new formula will rebalance the distribution of POA funds. The old distribution model created significant inequity between subscription journals and OA journals. We are moving to a single formula applied to all scholarly journals, whether they are under subscription or not. Next, please. Here are some important details to note. For journals that still maintain subscriptions, the new formula will only apply to partnership agreements, not to traditional subscriptions, either per title or bundled. The new formula will not require subscription journals to flip to open access, How your journal is disseminated on the Érudit platform remains your decision. An adjustment plan will be put in place to ensure a gradual and predictable implementation for journals. And it should be noted that this change applies only to scholarly journals. Cultural journals on our platform are not affected. So at this time, here are the most important things to keep in mind. In our current context of a strong trend towards open access, changing to the new formula is intended to ensure journal sustainability and an ongoing source of revenue. Also, a formula that is applied to all journals in the same way, regardless of their access model, will better recognize each journal's contribution to the dissemination of research. My presentation today is effectively the general announcement of this change. So here are the next steps. Scholarly journal teams, as well as the librarians who support them, have already received invitations to the webinars where details of the new formula for partnership support will be explained in detail. The webinar in English will be held on Tuesday, March 17th, and a webinar in French will also be held on March 16th. The webinars will be open to all, and we encourage you to share the invitation with any members of your journal who may be interested in attending. They will also be recorded, and links to the videos will be shared after. We will, of course, be supporting all journals throughout this change. Immediately after the webinars in March, journals will receive a one-pager detailing the new formula, as well as a simulated report to demonstrate the impact on their journal. The Érudit journal team will also be available to answer any questions and meet with you if necessary. That concludes my presentation, and I would be very happy to answer any of your questions now.
Thank you, Jessica. Maybe to icebreak the question period, we received during the registration a question regarding Diamond Web, and I'm gonna read it to be sure pronounce it well. Did they really have the goal to convert all Canadian scholarly journal to the Diamond model?
We can't really hide that we would love to see that situation come to being. But we recognize there's a lot of factors outside of Érudit's control, and indeed outside the journal's control, to really enable that to be reality, which is why we've decided to allow journals to remain under a moving wall if that is their wish. And the best situation for their circumstances. But we'll be implementing the new formula so that we are moving our resources more towards the open access future that we envision.
Thank you, Jessica. We have a question in the chat. As the number of open access journal with Érudit increase, is the funding pot for POA also increasing?
Yes, in fact, our most important POA agreement with CRKN has included since the beginning an annual growth for our collection. So we recruit 15 to 20 new scholarly journals each year, and the Canadian libraries that contribute to the POA have agreed in advance to add additional funds to support those journals. We are also seeking to expand the POA by creating new agreements with consortia. We now have a small but very motivated team of myself and my colleague Elliot Montpellier, who's here with us today, and we are actively making new connections with consortia around the world who are interested in supporting Diamond Open Access. So we hope that there will be some very exciting news at this event next year on that front.
Thank you, Jessica. We're gonna let an occasion to raise your hand if you want. If not, we're gonna welcome Yves to talk about artificial intelligence.
Cool. Do you hear me? It's okay? Cool.
Yeah.
What a subject, artificial intelligence, and I'm very happy to be there to talk about AI at Érudit. Maybe you are not as happy as I am because you are probably fed up of hearing about artificial intelligence. And I completely understand that feelings, and that's true. AI is absolutely everywhere in our lives. It's as illustrated here, no more the elephant in the room, but rather the elephant is the room, and we may be on the side compressed on the margin of the room. And next slide, please. And the truth is that AI is everywhere. In just a few years, AI has become a completely integral part of our lives. When you read the news in the morning, you get AI everywhere. When you make a search using a Google engine, you have this new AI overview, which synthesizes the results in your place. And every piece of our lives are pretty much converted into data, and that the AI is a very efficient way to process this huge amount of data. Could be bank and accounts data, smartwatches, and etc. And AI is often considered as a revolution. I will say considered, but also sold as a revolution. And you can see this very serious scientific journal, Nature, which promises a revolution in human and social science using data from Facebook, Twitter. And it has not been tested, so it's not based on tangible results. Most of the time it's just two words, AI and revolution, which give you the impression that you have to do it if you want to be like hype and make something very new and very modern. So altogether, like these personal experiences we have in your personal life, it generate like fear, expectation, enthusiasms, and almost everybody, I think, today has an opinion and thoughts about AI. And despite all the legitimate like fear about AI, it's still an interesting tool to process data, and especially in the case of Érudit, the text. AI in general, but in your case, what we call large language model, as a ChatGPT, they have a very impressive capability to process a huge amount of data. We are working with like text, but it could also process audio, video, images. And they have been the subject of academic research for almost 40 years now. And the aim of AI is to read, understand, generate data, which is pretty much what we are doing like in our everyday work. And it could be an opportunity to work on our data. So for Érudit, if I put all together, it's like a mixed feeling as interest. It's a paradox also because we have open journal and open data that could be harvested by bots. I will talk a little bit about that later. And it's also like an objective danger for the infrastructure. So next slide, please. So I will say that I will not talk about some part of AI because it's such a large subject. And I will not talk about the article generated by generative AI to produce scientific content. Can you come back, please, on the previous one? Not because it's not of no interest, but because we have priorities currently elsewhere. And next slide, please. That's what I will talk about today. So on the left part, you have the dangers, the crawling bots who are harvesting the content of Érudit. And on the right, we have the opportunities in terms of discoverability or digital production. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the crawling bots first. So maybe you don't know, but quite recently, maybe a year or 2 years ago, it has been like calculated that over 50% of global internet traffic has become automated. At first it's completely crazy to think about that, and at least 3/4 of these 50% are generated by malicious bots. So it could be denial theories, but it's also and mainly harvesting bots who are collect data to train these models we are using every day, like ChatGPT. There is an interesting like metrics. It's almost 1 billion of requests down through ChatGPT every week in the world. So it's something we have to think about because it completely changed the landscape of search on every platform. And the challenges for Érudit, like specific challenges, the stability of the infrastructure. So yet nothing happened. The reliability of usage statistics and the compliance rights and licenses. And the question is, how do we face that? So next slide, please. So maybe you have an idea of what I'm talking about if you recently accessed Érudit. You have these small images on the right. It's the representation of Anubis. It should be the first things you see when accessing Érudit. The IT team has recently implemented these tools. It's a Canadian tool. It's open source, very important for Érudit. Sorry, completely. If you look at the graph, you have the consultation from June from today. And as you can see, we're facing the same problem everybody's facing, is that the bots are most of the traffic. So we have to reject them. And it looks like it's a very efficient tools to reject the bots. But the war is not ended, and we have to make constant adaptation to the increasing sophistication of bots. It's exactly like an arms race. So now let's switch to the brighter side of AI, maybe. And we are also currently testing how AI could improve the digital processing of articles. And the reason is that the number of journal and articles is increasing. Consequently, the production time is also increasing because the team of experts in Érudit who are in charge of the metadata extraction is limited, and they are working at the full capacity. And what we want to do, next slide, please. It's to put between the article we saved at Érudit and the team of experts an AI tool that could propose to the team of experts a series of metadata. And we are very clear on that. It's not the AI that will produce automatic like metadata. The team of experts is extremely important because that's the quality of Érudit. And that's why probably we are harvested by bots, is that we are producing a very high quality content. And we want just to help our team of experts with extracted metadata by AI. And I put a no Wi-Fi sign. It means that what we plan to test is just local AI tools. We will never send your data on the web. It's only local. It's only on our server with open-weighted, what we call open-weighted models. So be sure that no Érudit content will be sent through these processes. Next slide, please. So another avenue that we are exploring is implementing a new search engine to improve the discoverability of Érudit content. It's just idea we are working on right now. And for instance, you may formulate a question in natural language as how do social networks influence the construction of identity in adolescence? So it's quite a complex question. And we will try an AI tool like a semantic search engine to produce more relevance and content than before, to have more articles that fit this question. And we can also imagine carrying databases that mix audio, video, scientific article, and put this, for instance, into network view for instead of a list to have a better representation of the subject. Next slide, please. So in parallel of this exploration, we need to think about responsible. Sorry, can you go back? Maybe I missed some parts. Okay, no, sorry. So the last part of the AI exploration is to provide to researcher and our community what we call sandboxes. It's like a control access to all published articles and their metadata of Érudit. If you want to use AI tools like MMM, you need quite important computing resources that will be available through these sandboxes. And it could also be testing environment for new digital publishing processes. So responsible AI this time. Okay. Responsible AI is always mentioned. So everybody who is doing AI is claiming it's responsible. Nobody will say it's a responsible AI, but it should not be words that are glued together. It should be operational. And we can have metrics like biases, hallucinations, environmental impacts. So how much energy it takes to train the model and to make them computing. But it's also something that we have to think in terms of mission. So we should use AI to promote scientific knowledge in HSS and respecting the principles of open science. And we are working hardly on that part. Next slide, please. And what we are doing concretely to do what? So first, on the bots part and the bot scrolling parts, our IT team is very aware that they have to work constantly on these attacks, and they are currently monitoring the consultation and changing their strategy in response to bots. Inside Érudit, we discussed a lot about AI every day. It's in the middle of a lot of meetings. And we are currently setting up a think tank, AI, to provide both doing technical monitoring, scientific monitoring of what's going on in AI in the world in terms of research and deployment. It could be technical, but it should also be legal because we have this legal issue with authors' rights. It's also an environmental question, a political and social aspect, and we are covering all these aspects of AI. And we have also to think at the fact that we are not alone in this. For this question, AI is everywhere, and I'm sure that every platform in the world has exactly the same issue. So it could be a good opportunity right now just to organize yourself around these questions. And I think the best thing to do is to increase AI literacy because you have to know what AI is doing, how it's trained, and all the social aspects of AI to be able to take the right decision for Érudit and for the human and social science. And we want to insist that we want to understand before, possibly, it's really important, adopting AI tools. It's very interesting tools, but we have to be very careful because it could also be a great threat for our community. So if you have any question, please ask. I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Yves, for this first presentation of Érudit on AI. It was not an easy one, and you really succeeded well with your word and with your drawing. So I think now you're the official illustrator of Érudit, and you could raise your hand, but also have a question we received during the registration. And it's kind of a complicated question, so Yves, feel free also, Tanya, to answer it. I'm gonna read it. Has the Érudit team considered the impact of AI on open access initiative? And if so, what steps are being taken to address AI?
I don't know if my colleagues are here and they had the idea of trying to assemble some material to do an article about that. I don't know if Lucie or Simon want to say some words about this paradox.
Maybe Tanya, if you're comfortable, to say a few words about link between open access and the AI.
Yes, of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Tanya Niemann. I'm the executive director of Érudit. Very happy to see so many familiar new faces and names here on the screen. So very quickly, of course, what you have seen today touches a lot on, I would say, change management that we all go through together. So about these questions about open content, open structures, and how we manage this in a new paradigm of artificial intelligence are under very heavy evolution. For what I can say is that we try to find our way through in a respectful way. I think we are surrounded by big companies that do not do this with the same, respect for open content or for not-for-profit visions of these tools and so on. So I think where we are now is to see how can we go forward while we do not have a more clear legislative framework around artificial intelligence, and how we tackle the ethic aspects of these questions. So Yves just touched on it by saying, we try to create our literacy, improve our literacy understanding of the impacts of these new technologies, try to explore them in order to move forward together with the community in under the lens of change management. Our colleagues from Creative Commons are very active on this field to think about open access, to adopt the licenses towards this question around AI and open access. So we work closely with those who are currently developing more expertise and more close cooperation with the open community around these things.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Yves. Jem, if you want to open your mic.
Thank you, Gwendal. Thank you, Yves. This is a fantastic presentation on the AI pursuit so far. Learned a lot today. Thank you. I'm very excited to see where you are at Érudit, and I'll just put my hand up from the CRKN perspective, just to indicate we would love to chat and work further as well. I did have one specific question, I guess, around the implementation of the of Anubis and of the other technologies that you have for stopping the bots. And we're encountering this situation now too, where we're seeing obviously like there's some standard sort of access and then some spikes that are quite significant. Some of the spikes we're seeing are actually driven by active researcher inquiries or active researcher use. So someone is using Claude Code, something like that, to access a part of our collection, and we're seeing a corresponding spike there. We don't necessarily want to stop that or punish it or anything like that, but we don't quite know how to do that, to let that go without closing everything else down. So I guess my question is what is the approach you are taking now as a point in time in terms of shutting it all down versus letting some go?
Okay, maybe I will need the help of Béranger. Is there? He's a specialist of the implementation of Anubis. Thank you, Béranger.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. So, no, unfortunately, right now, we are trying to block everyone who's not human and whom we don't know. Because, of course, we let in the crawling, the official crawling bots. We have range of IPs that we let in. So we are trying our best to let all the useful bots through, because they are very useful. We want to be referenced in search engines and so forth and so on. If someone or some organization wanted to crawl Érudit, I'm sure that they could contact us and we would arrange something. But yeah, someone who's not identified and would try to mechanically crawl Érudit would encounter some problems or would have to spend the computing power to go through Anubis, which is always possible, but yeah.
If I may add, we provide our corpus for research purposes by other means. So yeah, Béranger is totally right. If researchers want to deal with Érudit content, they can contact us with that. And we are also OAI PMH, which you won't have the full text, but to have the metadata accessible there. We have the endpoints. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So also Laurence shared the document we read about the deployment of Anubis. It was like a collective work on Érudit, but it also was a community effort because it on the open source technology. So Anubis was a real community effort for Érudit, but also for other tools in library. We also had a question about the access to the Érudit corpus for LLM or AI training. So
I can take that,
yeah,
Gwendal.
Tanya.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Alan, for the question. So very quickly, we indeed have received these kind of requests, and we did not move forward in this sense. This is what Yves mentioned before, because there are a lot of unresolved questions about the legal framework in which this we could do this. So there is the question of the rights on the articles, and Érudit has dissemination licenses with the journals, but our current contracts and licenses are not covering this aspect. So a lot of work will still need to be done with you, with the community, with how the universities, where the researchers are working, are going to work with the researchers about these questions. So what are we going to be able to do with the journal articles, how the policies of the journals themselves are going to be articulated in the future. So it's a big construction site, this question currently. So we don't move forward quickly in this. We are really currently analyzing the situation and trying to talk as much as possible to experts around that as we collectively move forward in these questions.
Thank you, Tanya. Now I have you. I'm gonna keep you for the next question also, if you agree. I'm gonna resume it. Is Érudit long-term goal is to replace some of all the human in creation of metadata with AI technology?
No, I think that's impossible, and that's not desirable. So really, our approach is here that the expertise that we have in this field, and converting documents, in running an open infrastructure with all the elements, production, dissemination, research, and so on, is a very crucial expertise for Canada, actually, that we have as a nation. And we do what we do with public money in order to have the capacity to train to train the people around us around these questions, in order not to be dependent on maybe commercial technology or foreign expertise. So this is core for us, like in our mission, in our values, that we do this work in a respectful way. And we strongly believe that the human eyes on it are the crucial part of delivering the quality of the work that we aim to deliver around our work. Maybe Yves, you would like to add something about that, because we discussed a lot about these questions and how it's crucial to keep the team in the loop while developing a new technology.
Yeah, because like I will make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes like dangerous mistakes. So we have to have someone like to keep track of these mistakes and be sure that we have super high quality data. And I will probably add, and maybe Marie-Ève or someone else could just help. It comes also from the will of the team of experts also. They need help just to reduce the production time. So it's not someone who decided just to come with AI and just change everything and just reduce the staff. It's absolutely not and moreover, we have to test it. We don't know yet if it will be efficient, because you can have a very nice algorithm who extract everything, but doesn't work. So it's a long process, and the idea is just, as Tanya said, it's human in the loop, always.
Thank you, Tanya, Yves. We have a question from Catherine Mitchell. I'm gonna read it. The AI bot traffic problem is a universal one. How can we work together as a community to address the reporting and the resourcing challenge that we're all facing right now?
Thank you, Catherine. I don't have the perfect answer to this. I think it's not only on this topic that we should develop a more capacity to collaborate amongst the like-minded infrastructures, platforms, publishers. So how can we create the place where we come together? That's a good question. I think we have an opportunity here in North America, or to say, in our local and context here, to amongst neighbors, to create maybe a stronger network to collaborate on these questions and sit down together. So I'm happy to have a conversation and to think it through.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. I think it's just the start of the discussion around AI on the publishing edition. Do we still have some question or discussion around AI? We still have a few minutes if you want. If not, we're gonna close this meeting just by saying we was glad to be with you for an hour. Like, we was glad you take off your time to understand it more what we doing and what we trying to doing also in the future. We believe it was important to share with you this project and just to create new discussion. I want to thank the presenter, Yves, Élise, Jessica, but also Catherine and Veronique, who was behind this event. Laurence is sharing you some link if you want to see our face. We have new picture in the website. You could subscribe to the newsletter, but also please, if you could take some time to just give your feedback in the survey to organize the third Érudit town hall. Thank you all, and let's continue to talk about open access, AI, or other interesting projects in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here, and see you next time.